guys, it's Katya. Today I thought I'd talk to you about how I got into Northeastern and kind of some college advice. So I'm just gonna jump right into it. My high school stats were a 4.0 and a 30 ACT. I think what set me apart was the amount of extracurriculars I had. I was in Glee Club for 4 years. I was in choir for 2 years, and then my junior year I auditioned for the honors choir, so I was in that for 2 years. I also did musical theater for 4 years, and my junior year I had my first lead role in Footloose. I also co-started our school's first a cappella group called Basic Pitches. I also was in a few plays, so either my sophomore or junior year I was in this show with a whole bunch of plays in it called All the Small Things. I was horrible. I forgot all my lines and just stood there improvising for 5 minutes. Because of that, I didn't dare act again until my senior year when I finally got over my fear. And I participated in our annual student plays, which is a show that students write plays, direct them, and then cast other students to be in them. So I was cast in one called A Cup of Cocoa, written by my friend. I was the lead in that. And then I wrote one with my friend called Save the Date, and we cast it together, and then someone ended up dropping out, so I had to fill in. There was also another play going on called She Kills Monsters, and I was too scared to audition for it, so I didn't. But then I got a text a couple weeks later from my friend saying that their lead dropped out and wondered if I could do it, and I did, and it was probably one of the best things that I was in my senior year. It was so fun. During the summer, I also directed 2 kids musicals. So one was Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and one was The Jungle Book. I was also the student president of the Arts Alliance or Arts Council, and I ran the arts Instagram for our school for a while. Aside from arts, I had been writing a book online since I was 13, and I finished, I think, the summer of either my sophomore or junior year. It was an online novel, so it had a following and it had over 400,000 followers, so I added that in there. In terms of sports, I played volleyball my freshman year, and I was gonna play it my sophomore year, but the coaches were horrible and mean, so I switched to track. And then after track I found out that I shouldn't be running at all, so I decided to manage our boys lacrosse team. I did that the next year also. So as far as my college journey, I guess, when I first started, my parents really wanted me to go to either an Ivy League or a UC school. I knew from my stats that I just wasn't getting into an Ivy League, and I didn't really want to get into an Ivy League because I didn't want a lot of pressure. I thought the UCs were fine, but it felt like I wasn't really looking anywhere else. So I told my mom I wanted to look at the East Coast, so we went to New York and Boston, and I already loved New York, but when I got to Boston, I just fell in love. It was perfect. I thought it was just a cleaner version of New York, basically. I liked that it was small, and I liked that it was all college students that lived there, basically. So once I picked Boston, I looked at a few schools there. I came across Emerson and Northeastern. So I went to Emerson. I absolutely loved it. The only thing that scared me about Emerson was that it was an arts school, and I didn't know exactly what my major was gonna be yet. I knew it was gonna be something in English, but I also really liked psychology, so I didn't want to be trapped in arts if I ended up liking psychology more. And with Northeastern, I really liked their co-op program, which, if you don't know what that is, basically you take a semester off of classes and you go work in your major. And I really like that idea because I could do one in English and one in psychology and see which one I liked more. So basically I narrowed it down to those 2 schools. And this is where my counselor comes in. My high school counselor was horrible. She was the worst. She basically, okay, I'd give her a list of schools and she'd go down one by one and say, no, you're not getting in here. Even ones that were my backup schools. Emerson was my backup school. I had a 4.0. Their average was maybe a 3.6, around that. My counselor basically told me I wasn't even gonna get into Emerson. I shouldn't even apply. I should just aim lower. She kept giving me all these colleges I've never heard of in my life. All these colleges that were in states that I told her I wouldn't want to go to. Basically, what ended up happening was my counselor somehow convinced me that the only way I'm getting into college is if I pick an early decision school. That was something I really did not want to do because I was torn between Emerson and Northeastern, and I'm also a very indecisive person. Don't tell me to pick an early decision school. I'll change my mind in 2 seconds. And I did. So I knew it was between Northeastern and Emerson doesn't have early decision. So I was like, you know what? We're just gonna go with Northeastern. So I did, and I got in, obviously. At first I was really happy. I was like, oh my god, she told me I was never getting into college, and now I got into college. When I first got into Northeastern, my parents weren't that okay with it. They thought I could do better. They thought I could get into a higher ranked school, and they seemed to put ranking before anything else. So even though I could have gotten into a higher ranked school, I didn't want to. Basically, with all these thoughts put into my mind, I became a psychopath. I started comparing myself to literally everyone in the school. I would look up their college rankings, look up mine, compare them. That's ridiculous. I picked Northeastern for a reason, and even if I was pressured into doing early decision, it doesn't change the fact that I was considering Northeastern and it was my top 1 or 2 schools. Just because other people are getting into other colleges doesn't mean that my college is suddenly not one that I like anymore or not one that's good to me. After doubting myself for the entire year, I finally got over it. I was like, I picked this school for a reason. I shouldn't be comparing myself to others. And if there's anything you guys take away from this video, don't look at rankings. Don't compare yourself to others. Find a school you're comfortable with and a school that makes you happy. I know parent pressure can be really hard, but at the end of the day, they're not going to college, you are. So that's it for this video. Thank you for watching. If you liked it, go ahead and leave a like and maybe a comment on where you're thinking about going or where you do go to school, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!